unmute yourselves until the introduction part. All right, we're live. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go. Oh, I should have had music playing. Anyways, we're live now. Let's go on the pages and just start spamming your folks. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Who has music available to them? Someone want to put some vibes in the background, instrumentals? Or I can do it. I just have to find a way to do it.
Instrumental.
Yeah. Because we don't need no copywriting.
Oh,
like because people are real picky these days about that kind of stuff. So just let's see what's happening. Oh Lord. Okay. Boom 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 boom. Oh shoot, Darnell. Where's Darnell? No one knows instrumentals, Gordon.
no, I don't have it.
I was like, okay, that's great. That's great.
Watch this get taken down. We don't need that. Everyone needs to hear this. Looking forward to answering their questions.
Wayne apologizes for not being here, gentlemen.
No, he's good.
Yeah. All right. So it's the same thing as all the other lives that I've done. I'm going to just give it like 5 minutes for people to come in. And then I'm going to introduce. So like my order, according to the screen, is going to be Darren, Uzziah, Gordon, Chris. So we're going to do it that way. Okay. Cool.
You got a little podcast, Mike. I see. I'm proud of you. You get your office?
It's upstairs in my attic. Yes.
Your office, yes.
Right.
I mean, the other room was supposed to be there, but Legacy is down there living her best life, so I'm upstairs.
The Fighting Chance remote location, so it's called.
I have plenty of locations. That's just music I found. Instrumentals. Keeping it real peaceful. Just for a little bit. I wonder where Darnell is. Okay. All right. We're going to find out what's going on with my twin. Oh boy. Everything is going crazy. Twin. Is everyone spamming their people? People who are joining, slip inside of the chats. Let's see if you're here. Introduce yourselves, wave, say hello to the folks. Because they're here for y'all. I just brought them to you.
I forgot, so we can see the comments, right? As they pop up.
So, like, y'all won't see them unless I pop them on the screen, but, like, they're down there. I don't know why they're not, like, viewable for all of you guys, but it's a thing. And eventually, I'll get better at all of that lovely stuff, but until then, you will see them when I post them. Hey, who invited Solomon? Whose person is that? Anyone know? Solomon? Is that Darren? Are you pointing at? Oh, cool. I know Aunt Glow. Aunt Glow is in the building, Darren. Hey, Aunt Glow. Hello, all. Listen, Darren, your people show up, so I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? They here for it all. I love Aunt Glow's like pudding. Aunt Glow's pudding. Anyway, I'm ready to do the introductions because I know some of y'all have to leave because you guys are booked and busy. And Wayne is in the comments. Hello, Wayne.
What's up, Wayne?
Yes, I will. You just stay in the comments, Wayne. Just stay in the comments, and we will allow this thing to keep going. So we get to invite your people, Wayne, because we still got stuff to do. Anyways, all right. So with the introductions, welcome everybody to the Fighting Chance Counseling Services Black Man Heal Series wrap-up episode. This is a panel discussion. I have brought most of the men back. Right now there's 4, but there will be 2 hopefully coming in very soon. So I'm going to go from, I don't know what the screen looks like for you guys, but I'm going to go to my right on down and back around. So first and foremost, I have my best friend here, Darren Day. It's my best friend, y'all. He was on episode 6 called Side Effects. Darren, greet the people in Jesus' name.
Good evening, everyone. I do hope you have a great time listening, and feel free to leave us any questions you may have for us. Have fun.
Well, amen to that. Next to him is, I call him my little brother. We argue like, brother and sister. This is my colleague, my friend, my co-lead, Uzziah Hilliard. Uzziah, greet the people.
What's up, everybody? I hope you come in, enjoy what we're talking about. If you have any questions, ask away. We're here to answer them.
Yeah. Grown man beard, even though he's like one of the youngest ones here, but he got a full Rick Rose going on. Anyways, moving on down the street from me, Mr. Corden James. He has a lot of names. He has a lot of titles. You see it. It's like longer than mine, but nonetheless, Corden James, the Comeback Kid mentorship program founder and operator. Corden James, greet the folks.
Hey, it's great to meet y'all. I look forward to answering your questions tonight, and just hope that you continue to see in yourselves what you hear tonight, and just identify with different parts of it. Look forward to it.
Yeah. And last but not least, for now, we have my colleague, my friend, my homie, the wonderful Christopher Melville. All of these men are wonderful, so don't make it seem like I don't think they're all wonderful. Chris is great, spoken word artist, and the founder and operator of Melville Enterprises. Christopher, say hello.
I mean, you hit everything else on the head, so I don't really have to say much. But thank you for having us. I would definitely want to say, an opportunity to get even 4 Black men in a room doing something productive and positive and sharing the messages is an amazing feat. So shout out to you, Jermaine. I'm happy to share this platform with all of you guys and just to get some good conversation going. So I think it's really helpful.
Yeah. So for those who didn't see the form that I put out there, I did leave a form for you guys to give me feedback on the series and on the episodes and everything that you have seen. Something that I loved is that every single episode impacts someone. And I told the guys, and I'm telling everyone else, one of the people that has been very vocal about how this series has impacted him is my own father. So kudos to the men. I know a lot of great people, and the ability to create a platform that allows them to share their experience and educate us about what it is to struggle as a Black man in America. We have a lot of narratives, but I wanted to create the space where, every other person can hear it from their, own mouths. Because the world says a lot of things about Black men, but I wanted the Black men to speak up for themselves. So we're going to dive in. So here's how this is going to go. I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to pose it to one person. It doesn't mean that that one man is going to be the only one that responds, but nonetheless, I'm going to pose the questions. I'm going to try to get through it. If there's other questions that you guys have, feel free to go into the chat. But to start off, this goes for everyone, but I'm going to start with my best friend. I'm going to start with Darren. So Darren, you're going to answer first. And again, I want everyone to answer because there's only 4 of y'all, so we can all answer. As a man, what do you fear the most?
You started me off strong.
You're welcome.
Okay. I need a couple seconds for that one. That's a good one. As a man, what do I fear the most? I would say for me, what I fear the most is not being able to pass something on positive to the next generation. I'm a man that, currently I don't have any children, but I do have nieces. I do have little cousins. I have a goddaughter. And it, for me, it would feel very much like a failure. If I wasn't able to pass something positive on to them, give them life lessons that are generally hard learned. Something where you wouldn't want your children to experience all of your failings. You did that so that they don't have to. So I would love to pass the knowledge, not the hardship, over to them. And it would really hurt if, I felt at the end of my life, I wasn't able to pass anything on.
Yeah. All right. Uzziah, same question.
I can piggyback on what Darren said and what this comment says right here from Abdul. It's that fear of failure. And it can be failure in any way, shape, or form. It can be failure in my walk with Christ. It can be failure in my dreams and my ambitions, like what I want to be 10, 15, 20 years from now. Failure to sit here and provide for my family. Failure to, like Darren said, leave something behind, like leave a legacy. I say all the time, all I got in this life is my name. And if I don't leave a good impression behind with my name, I feel like I failed. You know what I'm saying? I don't want someone to be like, oh, Uzziah, yeah, he was all right, but he didn't do enough. I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it doesn't even have to sit here and be, it's not like I'm looking for validation of others. It's just, I want people to be like, you know what? That guy Uzziah, although he's not here anymore, he said 1, 2, or 3 things that got me through something. I was able to look at him and carry on and fight my battles because he fought and he was an advocate for me and mine. So I would say fear of failure is probably my biggest fear.
Just question number 1. It's good stuff. Mr. James, what do you have for the people?
I mean, I hate to plagiarize the rest of my brothers, but fear of failure, especially, I was a young father. I'm 35 now. I've been a father since I was 18, fresh out of foster care. So it's, that fear of failure now is healing myself throughout everything. Right? If I don't, I want my kids to be able to see that I took care of what I need to and I could show up for them as presently as possible. And if I can do some good in the world, make some change, help other people feel seen like I didn't feel like I felt seen. I feel like that's the best thing that I can do with my ability, with all the people that have helped me along the way.
Wow. That's good. Last but not least, Mr. Melville, what you got?
It's a hard question. Honestly, my biggest fear would have to be dying before my time, or dying before I'm able to accomplish a lot of the things that I want to accomplish. I'm 26 now. I have a 1-year-old daughter. This is no secret, right? The 4 men that are on this panel, and you as well as a Black woman, our lives aren't taken as seriously. Our lives aren't valued as seriously as they should be. And to think about all the Black men and women who haven't made it to their 30th birthday or their 21st birthday or their 25th birthday, you know, that's something that I do wrestle with every day. Not to say I'm in any position that would put me in that, but you never know with the unpredictability of the world. So my biggest thing would definitely be that fear of dying before my time. And then just to, again, reiterate what everyone else said without leaving that impact. Because we do have things to share, right? I'm looking at multiple generations just in this room, and to not have those storytellers, right? Which is why I'm a poet, so I can write my own history. It's not based off of what my mother and father passed on to me or what the world passes on to me. It's what I can say for myself and live up to that standard. So I'll definitely say that.
Yeah. Those are so good. The failure, having to leave before your time, not leaving a legacy behind. That is so good because, you know, what recently happened in Memphis, like you never know what's going to happen. And as Black men, it's almost like I said it in plenty of the episodes. It's like returning home is a gift for them. It's not a privilege. It is an honor. It is a gift that they get to return home safely because who knows? People get stopped for worse and they don't make it home. So, you know, thank you guys for sharing. Again, this is a safe space. And I'm so glad that they're able to open up and share their experience. Another question is I'm going to start off with you, Zaya. And then again, since there's only 4 of you guys, everyone can answer. What are the key components to healing as a man? And we're not just talking about physical healing, obviously, mental, emotional, and even spiritual. What are the key components to healing?
I feel like it's a great question. And I feel like the key components to healing is one, being honest with yourself, admitting that you need that healing. You know what I mean? Like, and being able to sit there and be real with yourself and be like, yo, you're going through it, but you need help. You need to figure it out. This thing is going wrong. Not you need to figure out how you're going to get out of this. I feel like that's one of the major things is understanding that you need healing. Communication, not just with yourself, but with being able to open up, being able to be transparent with, it doesn't even have to be a whole bunch of people, just with at least somebody that you're comfortable with, that you can talk to, vent to, and for that brief moment in time, put that weight that's on your shoulders on theirs, for even if it's just for a second. Because that brief second where you're vulnerable and you're letting it all out, that can really make or break you. So communication and transparency, and then the willingness to want to be healed, because we all know the saying, misery loves company. Some people know that they're going through something. They know that they need some healing, but they've gotten so comfortable being miserable that now they want to pull other people in. They've gotten comfortable in that headspace and in that environment to where now they don't want to get out because it feels like home.
Listen, what we're not going to do is be out here preaching. No, you can preach.
You asked, I answered. So
we love Jesus over here, but go ahead.
So like I said, the willingness to want to be healed. And then from there, I feel like the consistency. You got to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
Once you start that healing, once you start that process to get better, you got to stick with it.
Yeah.
You have to, if that means you got to remove yourself from situations and environments, stay away from those situations and environments.
Yeah.
So I feel like those are the 4 key things for healing.
I mean, Uzziah answered very well. Is there anyone who wants to add? on top of that, because he said some good stuff. Okay, Darren, go for it.
I do feel like there's something like very important, because I do agree with those. Like you do have to accept that you want to be healed, that there is an issue that you need to take care of within yourself. But one thing that I also feel is important is support. It's too many times you see men thinking we have to internalize, deal with, fix all of these issues just by ourselves. Like I can't ask nobody for help. Pride's going to get in the way. I can't reach out and say, hey, I'm not strong enough yet to do all of this alone. I think it's important to be able to say, hey, I need something from someone else to fix this. I need something from, a community of people. Sometimes the people like to say it takes a village to raise a child, it sometimes takes a community to heal as well. You can't just think that it's all going to be on you. Like there is a journey that you have to walk alone, but there's nothing preventing you from saying, I need someone to hold my hand. Sometimes I need someone to hold me up. Because fixing some of the things that, like you're dealing with, like you're dealing with depression, maybe you had anger issues, and you can't sit there and think that staring at this wall in the darkness and only just praying is going to get you out of that light. Like, that praying might lead you to someone else that says, hey, they've dealt with this. They know what you're going to be dealing with and they know how to help you through those stages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do think, support can be very helpful when it comes to like, hey, now that I recognize I need some help, I need to go do these things. Like, like Uzziah had said, I have to do these things. I might need some help, and to me, I feel like as a man, that's a pride issue. Like no man wants to be able to reach out and say, man, I need something from somebody else that I should be getting on my own. And I feel like that's a big pride issue that we have to get through because it's tough. Sometimes it's very, I can speak personally. I don't like asking for help. It's one of my biggest faults. Like if I can do it by myself, that's how I'm gonna figure it out. Funds is low. I'm not asking one of my friends that know how to cook. They got a fridge full of, food. Can I get some? I'm gonna eat this rice I got in this house. I'm good. I used to be very stubborn. Like I wouldn't ask for anything. If I couldn't get it on my own, I didn't earn it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. First of all, pause in the session. Welcome, Traquan.
Yes.
Traquan.
Came at the right time.
Being a father, you got to be multiple places at one time. So he let me know he was going to be late, but nonetheless, Traquan is in the building. Hey, greet the people, Traquan.
Hey, how's it going, people? I'm Traquan. I didn't put Traquan where my name is because it doesn't have a Y in it. So for some reason, even though I say Traquan, people see Traquan and it just messes their brain up. So this is why I have Trey here, but my name is Traquan. And I'm a black man. I'm excited to speak to you guys about this black stuff and being black and all of the trials and tribulations and joys of being a black man with my black brothers.
Yeah.
And I got 2 black sons. So
yes, and Tim is here. Hey, Tim. My nephew's here. Darnell, you are actively commenting on the live, so we can see it, Darnell. Hey. We did have a comment in the chat that said the percentage of black households that are fatherless is 64%. As Traquan just said, he is a father, so well, the bottom half, the bottom rows are the fathers. The 2 next to me are not yet fathers, so they'll get there. But nonetheless, I mean, it kind of leads into another question that I had, and I was waiting for Traquan to come on in because he was a part of the father episode. For the fathers, so that would be the 3 at the bottom. How do you show up for your children, and how do you make your presence known? Because that percentage, 64%, I was a part of that 64%, unfortunately. So how are we breaking the generational curse? How are we doing it? How are we showing up? What's the motivation? How are we successful with it? So we're going to go Traquan, Chris, and then Corden.
All right. How are we showing up? I would say, how are we showing up? I don't know about you guys, but I remember there was a certain test that I took, and you got points just for writing your name, like, which means that you had to be there, like just physically there, even to get some sort of credit. So I think it starts there. I elaborated a little bit more on how it's a lot deeper than just being there. But for some people, let's just get them in the room, like you know, and then like how people would say about church, like let's just get them in the church, like it don't matter what it like, and then we'll figure the rest out, like when we, you know, but let's just get them in the right place. So I think it starts there, like just be in the room. And then from there, once you're there, then we can make changes. We can fiddle with this. You know, you can do this better. We can kind of look at what we can do better personally, because we had a little joke yesterday when we all sat down and chatting, and I was like, you know, there's no manual to this, right? And they talk about parenting, but especially for fathers, that's 64%. That's a large number. So not only is there no manual to parenting, a lot of us don't have a blueprint. Like a lot of us don't have anything to go off of. Like, so I'm just winging this. I'm like, I seen this in a movie. I think this is the right thing. My uncle used to do this. So a lot of us is winging this. Or we have women telling us how to be men. Well, you need to do this. You need to teach them how to do. You need to, you know. But I think how we close that gap is by one, just being there, being present. And I would say the second thing, since a lot of us don't have the blueprint, is finding support from someone who has experience. I was lucky enough to have a blueprint. My dad didn't have a blueprint, so he made a lot of mistakes that, you know, he talked to me about. He was open about those mistakes and how he just didn't know any better, and we were able to talk and grow through that. But it made me better as a person. But real quick, I just want to address that 64%. I think it's very misleading. And the one thing I will say, and it might turn into a question or it might be something we could circle back on. I definitely think that we don't take into consideration, now me being a Black father and having a Black dad, we don't take into consideration why that 64% is what it is. Like why it's a 64, because it's two sides, it's three sides to every story. There's three sides to every story. So I'll just say that one, because we know our parents as parents, but we don't know them as people. And when you find out that the cab driver, like your mom had a specific cab driver that she always rode with, and y'all never had to call, he was just always there. When you find out like your daddy had a suspicion about him, and I'm not saying that this is your situation, but I'm just saying it's three sides to every story. And the older you get, you start realizing like, hold on, now that doesn't excuse them for not being around, but we don't, all I'm saying is we don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. There's three sides to every story. And I'll just leave it right there. That 64% is very misleading though.
That's fair. Christopher.
What else? What can I say? All right.
Can we restate the question?
Fathers, how do we show up? How do you make your presence known? How do we break this 64%?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a very new father. Like I said, my daughter just turned 1 this past weekend.
Congratulations.
And thank you. I'm not gonna sit up here and lie. However, examining the relationship that I have with her mother is something that I definitely had to set boundaries with, and actively currently am setting boundaries with. But that aside, I've been fortunate enough to have my grandfather actively in my life since I've been born. My father, him and I kind of repaired our relationship. I made a choice to repair my relationship with him after college, because, you know, a lot of people don't have their fathers for it. Whether I saw somebody say whether they're in jail, and like I mentioned earlier, whether they're dead. So I had to make sure I rekindled and kind of got that relationship back. And then the men, now I want to say the cab driver, but my stepfather was definitely an active participant in my life. And I've learned a myriad of things from all of those men. But the most important thing I always wanted to be was present.
Mhm.
and to show up. And so, despite the difficulties that may happen with whatever dynamic, it's always ensuring that whether it's doctor's appointments, whether it's pickups from daycare, whether it's certain milestones and life events that I can be at, I will.
Mhm.
And again, Jermaine, I've mentioned this to Jermaine, but I have certain people in my life who play positions, right? I have a financial advisor. I have I would say a kind of therapeutic advisor who's my therapist. Jermaine, who I consider my spiritual advisor. I'm still looking for physical, like a nutritionist, gym partner. So let me know if that's somebody in here or someone in the comments. But my emotional advisor, and my emotional advisor is my daughter.
Mhm.
This is what I think. I have to think to myself, if she was here watching me behave in this way, is that something that she would want, or is that
Mhm.
I'd want her to mirror?
Mhm.
So it's become easier for me to make those decisions because, again, despite my feeling, if I'm upset or whatever the case is, I have to show that. And I'm not saying not to show emotions. I'm saying I'm more or less saying the decisions that we make are important and reflective, right? If I'm gonna have to explain something to my daughter who's 1 now when she's 21, I want to at least be able to say, I'm not gonna lie to her, but I'm gonna say, I did this. This is why. If it bothers you, we can certainly talk about it. And that's
Yeah.
kind of the thing that I have been learning. Right? She's only 1, so we're learning together.
Mhm.
And I think, one of the biggest things that I don't know if I want to mention it now before if I don't have a chance to, is kind of that level of intimacy that we get from that we don't learn from our fathers, right? As men, whether it's saying, I love you to our friends, or the style of communication that we have to just be, again, someone said earlier, our parents, but as people, just to be us as people. And I think it's definitely important that we take that into consideration, and we show
Mhm.
that I'm a father to a daughter, but if I had sons, I always think about, I've written multiple poems about if I have a son, if I have a son, if I have a son, but not thinking, I'm getting a daughter, I'm having to rethink about how I go about everything. So,
Mhm.
that relationship, yeah, that relationship is definitely important. It's one that
Yeah.
I cherish and fight for every day. So showing up, making sure I'm showing up.
Mhm. I like that. He fights for his position because, as the female on the panel, I'm widely aware that some women push the men away and make it very difficult for you guys to show up. So, yes, Traquan, we will definitely hit upon that. And this is why I wanted to ask the father question, right? Because, Corden, we're going to get to you. We're totally going to do it. Just give me a second. The unfortunate thing is that I have seen it from both ends, right? From the mother's perspective, where it's like, oh my goodness, I need the father to show up. Like, does he think this baby just raises itself and pays for itself? No. But then I've also seen it from the man's side where it's like, well, I need to be available to my child, and the mother is using the child as a pawn. And unfortunately, this is why we need to do better, right? Culturally, we need to do better. As people, we need to do better. And as a therapist, I say, make sure you guys are healing yourself before we add another beautiful human into the world, because you do not want to. My client says this all the time, and then I kind of use it for other scenarios. Her biggest thing was, I don't want my children to heal from something that I did. Right. And Chris kind of alluded to that. Traquan kind of said something like that. So it's really about, so for the fathers to be, Darren and Uzziah, it's like, let's continue to heal and create the space where it's like, I'm going to do better so that my children don't have to go to therapy for 10 years for something that I inflicted on them. All right, Corden.
That was heavy. Well said. Well said. So I had the privilege of working with this organization called Fathering Together, based out of Chicago. We did a lot of online work, nonprofit, just fathers just sharing our stories about the success, like the successes, the joys, the obstacles that we have.
Mm.
And one question that always sticks with me as a father was, what do I not want my kids to say about me?
That's good. That's good.
Right. And like that haunts me, right? So we talk about like trauma, like, excuse me. I know my life was crazy, and I know how that's impacted me today, how it
Yeah.
currently impacts me in my relationships and my friendships and the way I handle business and such. So it's like to try to leave that legacy for my children, but also that legacy of like knowing what healing looks like, right? We talk about generational healing, not that curse. I want to break that curse for them. And it's been real. Like, what do I not want my kids to say about me? Well, I don't want them to say I wasn't there.
That's good.
I don't want them to say that I didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want them to say that he came to some things, but he wasn't necessarily for these things.
Yeah.
So, it's tough. So I have 2 boys and a girl. My sons are 14 and 15, and my daughter is 8. And so my 2 sons are in Utah, so they're like 2,500 miles away, right? So our relationship started young, where I was in the military, moving around. They moved back home after a divorce, and then it's been, that distance, going to see them whenever I can. Technology coming into play, right? How do you communicate through your kids with technology? And then it's like now with my daughter. So I have my daughter. I'm a happy co-parent. I have her 3.5 days a week, and that time is spent maximizing whatever time we have. If it's doing her hair, I do little videos where we style her hair. I'll comb her hair out, do twisties, and we go to the trampoline park. We just go to the park. We got the same boring old park that we go to, and we just walk on the curb and hold hands. Like, it's really nothing special. I follow behind her, but like that's our favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
As well as all the lovely cartoons and movies and drawing and nail painting and all that such. But it's one of those things. Like, I hope that those things are enough. If I could say, I hope that the things that I'm doing are enough. It's those challenging moments where I feel failure as a father, right? In some ways, right, that distance that I have with my children. That was a personal decision on my behalf, based on just my lifestyle, where I was going back to. It wasn't good for me to go back to that place after coming out of the military, but that put so much distance between my sons and I. So yeah, so that fear of failure, that fear of not being as present.
Yeah. I mean, thank you guys for sharing. I think, I allowed this space to go on because these are conversations that definitely need to happen. And again, we mostly hear about these custody battles and who primary cares from the mother standpoint. And I was like, you know what? We have fathers on here. Let's put them on and let them share their parts of it. But to include everyone else, because I do have 2 non-fathers. So Uzziah is going to start with Uzziah, but then everyone who wants to answer can definitely answer. I think this question came from one of the panelists. So one of them that's not here. The question is, how do you tell someone that you are in crisis? Do you do it? And if so, who do you go to? Because I think men definitely go through a lot, as Corden was just saying, and Chris alluded to. Men go through a lot, and sometimes they don't have that space to say like, hey guys, I'm hurting and help me. So Uzziah, as a man, how does one deal with crisis? And do you have someone that you can go to say
one thing I'd say is everyone, and I'm pretty sure everyone on here will probably agree, we all deal with crisis differently.
Absolutely.
So me, I'm one of those people where like Darren said, I don't like asking for help. I 100% don't. But I'm the type of person, I'll wait until I know. Like me, I tell my people all the time, like, my mental fortitude is stronger than most people's, because of how I was raised. You know my grandmother. My grandmother is the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. Her and my mother, they will carry the weight of the world before they say anything to anyone.
Yeah.
And I've adopted that, but me growing and maturing, I've been able to ask for more help than they normally would have. So I have I have a it's tough. I don't want to say a core group of friends, but I have like two core groups of friends. And we all sit here. I have my group of friends from school, and then I have my group of friends from here, from Brockton. And we know that we can always, whenever we need something, we know that we can reach out. Like one thing we try to do as much as we can is just checking in the group chat, like, yo, how's everyone doing? Are we all right? Are we smooth? How we doing?
Yeah.
We try to tell each other as much as we can, yo, bro, I love you, bro. Be safe, this, that, and third. And I remember a couple months ago, me and my boys from home were talking about a whole bunch of stuff. And everyone was venting, everyone was just opening up. And we reiterated to each other, like, yo, no matter what, this is your safe space.
Mm.
No matter how little, no matter how big, you can come here and just talk. We're gonna be here.
Yeah.
We're gonna be able to help each other out, whether we have gone through the same situations or not. We're gonna be able to figure it out together because we're family basically. And it was the same thing I told you. The same thing I said on my episode, Jermaine. It's we grow up hearing it takes a village to raise a child. But once you are finally out of that child phase, you need your own village.
True.
You need your people around you to keep you going
True.
because we're never going to be at the same level as somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
We can't expect that.
Yeah.
But we need to have those people around us to help push us to be the best versions of ourselves no matter what.
Mm.
So I know whenever I'm going through, although I might go through it for a certain amount of time before I say something,
Yeah.
I know that I can hit up my group chat and be like, yo, bro, like X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm going through. This is how I feel.
Yeah.
Just talk. It doesn't have to be
Mhm.
about the situation. Just knowing that I can sit here and go somewhere and just talk and not
Yeah.
be judged, not be looked at differently. That's how I deal with crisis.
That's great. That's great.
And
Having a
you know
community.
what I mean? So it's just like
So good.
having the right people around you. I feel like
Mhm.
for me is what gets me through what I go through when I do go through something.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna go to Darren next. But before he shares, I know in his episode, he talked a lot about how he waited until it just got a little too heavy. And then he's like, all right, I need to go somewhere to get help. So, Darren, now that we are in a more mature state, how do you handle crisis? Do you tell someone? Do you have people that you can go to? Do you have the safe space?
Um, yeah, I feel like over time it took a lot of work and effort to learn how to cultivate like safe spaces.
Mhm.
Because like growing up, I didn't always have a grasp of boundaries.
Mhm.
And that's what's important for a safe space. So I can admit, like as Josiah said to myself, I didn't like asking for help. So, a lot of times I walked around just as a pressure cooker ready to burst because I did not know how to ask somebody like, hey, how do you calm down? Or
Mhm.
what do I do about this in general? So one of the ways, like one, I recognize I'm in crises. I started picking up like I would say like mindfulness and meditation, for example.
Mhm.
And that really helped me, like learning different breathing techniques really helped me center myself so that I can check in, for example, like, hey, like similar to like how you check in with me, May, like, hey, how's everything going? How do you feel? I kind of been, able to adopt that within self. Like, hey, before I reach out and ask for help, let me look and see, am I good? Is this something I can handle before I, just immediately think it's a crisis? Because sometimes anxiety will make you think something is a crisis and it's not, like it's just, like the way that you're thinking, you're spiraling out. You need to calm down a bit because this is something you can probably manage yourself before you have to go through things or other channels. But one of the things that I picked up on how to help with crises is, I created a support list. These are a list of people and my friendships, and like when I had mental health support professionals that I can reach out to at either various stages, of how big is this for me? Is this something where it's just like I'm not ready to deal with anything, so I need to be talked down off of that, metaphorical cliff, or I just might need some sound judgment. All the way down to the list, of course, at the very end, where I always recommend is, suicide hotline. Like if anything is ever that bad, that's something that should always be at the bottom of the list that you can reach out to.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but I have some very great friends that I've been able to trust with asking for support and not feeling judged for it. And through those friends, I've been able to create safe spaces where I can discuss anything that's bothering me or
Mhm.
listen to someone, tell me about something that they've noticed about, like my behavior. Hey, you seem like you've been having an off week. You want to talk about it? Those kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know if it was you or Uzziah said it, but that pride thing, hmm, pride will keep you on your knees, crawling in the dust
Mm.
when there are people around you who literally have life jackets and everything. But because pride is present, you will not humble yourself enough to say, like, I need help and I can't do this by myself. And we have to, not just as men, as people, but especially people of color, we have to recognize when we're inching close to that
Mhm.
enough is enough. Like, don't wait until the wheels fall off to go get your car checked out. Like, people wait until their life is in shambles to go to therapy. You do not have to wait till that moment. If ever something happens and you can't grasp a hold of it, get yourself some help, people, because we need it. All right. So I know that Traquan, you have to leave soon. So I'm going to start the question off with you, and then we can, whoever else wants to answer can answer. But this was a very good question, and I wanted to make sure as many of the panelists can answer it as possible. So the question was, how do I educate my friends and my family about the things that Black men go through?
There's a lot of different forms of education. I think that it all depends on the friend. Growing up, one of the things that I realized within myself was that I learned a lot different than a lot of people around me, in the sense
Mhm.
that I realized my attention span was horrible, but not attention in the sense that I couldn't pay attention, but I couldn't directly pay attention. Like I had an issue with like looking directly at someone or something for a long period of time. So where I would do little things that you'll even catch me doing in like today, right? Like being a public speaker where I'll zone out for a second and I'm like, but I'm listening, but I just had issues with zoning in, right?
Yeah.
I use that as an example to say some people is good with watching the movie Roots, and they're like, ah, you know what? I got it. Some people you give them an article about, um, you know, pick a shooting, pick a killing, right? They got it, right? Um, what I've learned in my household and through my own trials and tribulations, and even trial and error with my own kids, experience is the best teacher. So I would say if you want to know what a Black man goes through, find a Black man and follow him around. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's real life, right? And the reality is every day is not a shooting, right? Every day is not a shooting. Every day is not a killing. Every day we don't get pulled over. Every day we don't have baby mama
Mhm.
drama. But
Yeah.
every day is its own challenge, right? And you'll see those little nuances even when we talk about the last question, like crying out for help. like for me personally, I don't cry out for help. Like, and a lot of my friends don't either. But we have phrases like if my friend called me like, "Man, okay, yeah, I already know what time it is," or if I get a text message like, "Yo, I cannot," exclamation point, exclamation. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm sorry, babe. I gotta go right quick. This is important, right? So,
Yeah.
you want to know a black man, be around a black man. Like that's the best advice I can give, because there's certain nuances, there's certain things, all of us being from different environment, different places, that we all know without actually having to say, and we only know that because we've been around each other. So yeah, experience is the best
That's
teacher.
fair. That's fair. Chris, what you got?
How do I let my friends and family know if I'm in crisis?
No, what would you say to someone who wants to educate their friends and family about what a black man goes through?
I think there's some essential skills that you need in order to know what anyone experiences. The first being empathy, right? If you have the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, you can do that. I mean, black men and black women are two sides of the same coin, right? In terms of our experiences. And I like to include, brown people who are from, those who aren't European or white, who don't have those experiences, but you have to have a willingness to learn. I mean, growing up, I'm from Brockton, and it's a predominantly mixed community. However, going to college was one of the biggest experiences, like culture shock experiences, where majority of the kids in college are white, and a lot of the behaviors that they have are things I wasn't taught at home, and things that I'm doing, they looking at me kind of crazy. And it's like, it's really one of those things where if you have an openness and willingness to learn, then it can happen. In terms of resources, in this day and age, I would honestly, saying books are helpful, right? There's definitely books that I've read. The author Ibram X. Kendi, he's a great author who has several books that talk about it. Ta-Nehisi Coates has several books he talks about, for those who are a part of the culture. Dr. Umar, Dr. Joy. I know for more mainstream popularity things, like Charlemagne talks about the Black experience all the time, whether it be on the Breakfast Club or any of the other things. But speaking for the generation that's younger than me, I would just be mindful of the things you see on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. A person's individual experience doesn't speak for all of us.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like everyone mentioning, whoever you're getting your message from, I always try to, do a reference check, right? Who are they? Who are their background? Don't do a deep dive and be a stalker, but like, again, I wouldn't sit, I'm not gonna, I'm listening to everyone speak on their experiences based off of, your credibility as a therapist and the relationships you have with them. And then obviously everyone else's individual experiences, and kind of making sure that they, everything I've heard are things that I've thought about or talked about with other Black men in my life. So, but the source, right? Who are the Black men you have in your life or you look up to?
Yeah.
Whether it be your friends, right? When the joke, right? We always say when people say, "Oh, I have a Black friend," and kind of putting them on a pedestal as if that means you're invited to the barbecue because you have a Black friend. You know what that Black friend goes through just in order to get to work? Do you know what that Black friend goes through just in order to, take their children to a park, a public place? You know, those type of experiences when it's like, or your whole family and it's multiple Black people in one area, and that's something where the stereotypes that you're fed contradict what you're seeing in real life. So I'll definitely say making sure that we're being aware of our sources and
Yeah, I love that. Educate yourself and have the conversation. I don't know how many times I have to tell people, and this is my advice for that question: have the conversation. Like, why do we avoid having these difficult conversations? I don't know. But if you just talk to a black man or a black person in general, you'll learn a lot about them. I just think, like Abdul was saying, that there's just some people who are just scared. And it's like, what? Not every black person's a thug. Not every black dude is intimidating and will hurt you. Not every black female is ghetto and will slice you. Like, have the conversation. This is why this platform was created, because we need to have the conversation. And speaking of experience, this goes to everyone. So I'm going to make my way around. It's going to go Darren, Uzziah, Corden, and then Chris. What made you guys, this is a question, what made you guys share your story? Now, I know some of y'all, I might have like pulled on you. I might have pulled on you guys like, hey, be on my life. But nonetheless, you guys showed up and every one of you was transparent and shared some things that other people may not have known about you. So what was it, other than Jermaine's arm pulling and lovely skills of persuasion, made you want to share your experience? Darren?
Outside of that, arm tugging, I think, like the more, because I gotta say, one, I do credit you with getting me online. I'm not someone that likes to show my face often. I'm not someone that I need to be in front of a camera, or I feel like my voice needs to be heard even. So, when we started talking about this and having discussion about, like, hey, the possibility of like talking, thinking about what that would be about, I started to think about, who could benefit from this, from listening to what it is that I had to say. And to me, that made it a little bit easier for me to, one, think about what it was that I was going to share, and then know my reason why. Because there's a lot of people like me that'll choose to remain silent when they see things going on, that'll choose to, I'll say, mind my business at times, like, your issues are my issues kind of thing. So, and it was through therapy, I had learned, I had a therapist, his name was Gary, and he always talked about, how the enemy will seek to divide you and make you think that you are the only one afflicted with this one thing, no matter what that is. So a lot of our sessions, he would say something like, you're not the only one that goes through this, not as a chance to say, dude, this is pretty common or anything, but to remind you that, or to remind me that I'm not the only one that has ever, felt depressed or sad. So knowing that, your story could impact someone else, and then, someone else's can impact yours, because you never know what someone else went through, how they, overcame their challenge, and you just having that knowledge could benefit you in any way. So I took that from, I've gone through a lot, and I feel like, I should probably just, like, I don't, it feels shameful at times to like open up and share some of this stuff. But when I think about if someone hears this and this can directly or even indirectly impact them, like maybe they didn't understand that they were going through this, and then they listened to this and was like, I've been going through exactly the same thing, and I thought I was the only one, for example. So I would rather, share my story and listen to, and listen to other people's, because it could help me. But hopefully, what I'm sharing could assist someone else, help them identify that, hey, maybe you do need some assistance somewhere. And it's also okay to, ask for support. Like, you're not asking somebody to carry you across your entire journey, and just drop you off at the finish line. You're asking someone to give you the tools you need so that you can still do it on your own. Show me what it is that I need to do so that I can complete this mission myself. And that takes work. Like, I can think about all of the time someone wanted to help me and me being too prideful and just like, nah, I got it. I got it. I know what I'm doing. Like, you don't know what I'm dealing with. So I'm gonna just deal with this. And it took a long time to learn, like, yo, I'm unique. My issues can be unique, but that doesn't mean that there's only one way, my way, to figure out and solve them.
There you go.
So if anybody hears this, if anybody is listening to this, and this has been helpful to them in any way, it's all been worth it, and that's been the primary reason why I wanted to share.
That's my
You know, with a little arm
thing.
tugging.
All right, Uzi. Sorry, Uzziah.
Darren really took the words right out of my mouth. It was one of those things where, yeah, I'm like, definitely you convinced me to do it. I really said to myself, I was like, all right, nah, it's for May. Let me do it. But it was one of those things where it was like, those that might need to hear it,
Yeah.
I should do it. Forget how I feel about doing it. Forget me, like Darren said, me not wanting to really be on camera, or me not even caring if my voice is heard or not. Knowing the fact that there's somebody out there that looks like me, comes from the city that I come from, or the background that I come from, that could be going through something that I've gone through or that I'm currently going through.
Mm-hmm.
It's criminal if I don't come on and share my story and open up and express the things I've gone through and the things that I feel like us as Black men go through.
Yeah.
Because if they don't see us talking about it, then they're going to feel like they don't have a voice.
There you go.
We all have a voice. It's just a matter if we want to speak up or not.
Say that, sir.
There's a lot of people that end up falling by the wayside because they don't want to speak up. So I was like, honestly, you know what? Let me just do it. And I'll be honest with you. I ended up saying more than I anticipated even saying. I was just talking, you know what I'm saying? And that just is where I was led, you know what I'm saying? Like the questions and the conversation just ended up going to a place where transparency and honesty just had to just come forth. And I'm glad to say that I did it, because I know that someone out there, whether they're from Brockton, whether they're from Massachusetts, or even somewhere on the northeast side of the country, they took something from our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what mattered. It doesn't have to be 100 people. It doesn't have to be 1,000 people. If one person took something from it, if one person was able to be like, you know what, I needed that. This is to get me through, then I'm good.
Yeah.
I did what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So that's really all it was for me.
Proud of y'all. Mr. CJ, what you got?
All right. So the great James Baldwin said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
Period.
I think it's important for us as a people, as Black people, that like in this moment right now, we are facing our demons. We are facing everything that we love and enjoy about our lives. I think it's important for people to see. My story was a little Black boy growing up in an all-white neighborhood until I hit 9th grade, right? And I need little Black boys that are in those same situations, and little Black kids that are in those same situations, to see that someone else made it through that, because that is a daunting, losing your identity task that takes a lifetime. So if me being able to speak here helps them find hope, helps other people identify, right? It's chicken soup for the soul. A good story helps everyone relate. And I also know that there's people out there who can't afford therapy or won't ask for the help. And maybe this is somewhere that they can come to and feel comfortable.
Yeah. We have a question. Can you run that quote back from Mr. Baldwin?
Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
Until it is faced. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Gordon. Traquan, the question was, what made you come on here and share your experience? But we're going to get to Chris, and then Traquan, you can share your answer.
I have one question to that. I have a question as an answer to that question.
Okay.
Who's going to save us but ourselves?
Who is what?
Who else is going to save us but ourselves?
That's so good.
So, and whether it's a statement or a question, I'm a firm believer in I've been fortunate enough to grow up, like I mentioned earlier, with my grandparents, listening to their stories and them coming from a different country to America. You know, I kind of think that has been bestowed upon me, whether it's a gift or whatever I choose to do in terms of my poetry. You know, but I feel as though we need more of our stories to be heard. And again, pulling together 5 or 6 Black men in a room and having positive conversation. You know, no one's been speaking over each other. We've all had things to say. I've been learning a whole bunch of things from everyone in this little bit of time. But for me, it's really been, I got a lot to say. So at some point, somebody's going to listen. I really feel
I
like
mean,
that's
the
the
people are listening. Yeah.
yeah. And again, some people aren't comfortable sharing their stories or speaking, whether it's on live or in front of people. But
Mhm.
your story is one that deserves to be heard. And whether it's
Yeah.
your friends, your family, your children, you deserve it. You know, because it's your life. Whether it's the good, or the bad, right? And I'm kind of, I like to think I'm transparent to a point through my art that you see the good and the bad. And even in these conversations, you know, making sure that people can hear it. I mean, you know what I do for work.
Mhm.
I do work with youth in the foster care system, and a lot of them are predominantly from Black communities and Hispanic communities, and you know, they don't ever self-reflect on themselves or think about themselves outside of what has been told on them by, you know, the state or the government or
Yeah.
the parents. So yeah, they definitely deserve that space to share their stories. So I share mine.
Great. So Darnell is here. He's just working on camera and lighting and things like that. Traquan, if you have the time to share why you decided to share your story.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to let y'all know my Wi-Fi was tripping. I wasn't just going to leave you high and dry without saying goodbye. But to answer the question, the reason why I wanted to share my story is because I didn't have me. And I know I'm not the only person that has experienced anything. My dad had a saying. He said, "There's nothing under the sun that hasn't been done already." Um, and I know I didn't have me, so I would have really appreciated to have me, somebody to tell me, you know, anything that I know now. I would have appreciated to have known, for somebody to have talked to me about it. That was one of the biggest things that I struggled with growing up. Feeling alone, feeling isolated, even being in a room full of people. I caught myself like seeking, wanting attention, like wanting to just be around just particular people or groups or stuff like that. So having people feel encouraged, being encouraged, and stuff like that, I felt like you know, you just never know who's listening. I may not, and I may not create. I may not have a big stage like TD Jakes or Eric Thomas or something of that sort, but somebody might hear me and they may become the next Martin Luther King, right? Somebody might hear my story and they may decide, like, you know what, life is really not that hard, or any one of us, right? Like listening to the dads or even Darren or any one of us, right? Somebody might hear that story and say, you know what, let me put these pills down. Like, I really don't need to do this. Like, this person went through exactly what I went through, and the solution that they gave, it sounds like something I can do. So anytime, like I said, I'm just a voice in the wilderness. And I think that if we all work together in any way, shape, or form, I don't have all the answers, but I know I got one, at least one, right?
Yeah.
That might work for somebody. So that's my thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I like to talk. So, so I'm here for it. That I know
Yeah.
I can do.
You know, I have a different different type of men on here. Like some identify as introverts and some identify as extroverts. Nonetheless, they all have something to say. And, you know, the reason why I assembled them together is because they have a lot of stories. Like I said, on most of the episodes, I have like personal relationships with all of these men. And I said, we need to put this on camera. Like, we need to have the people hear what it's like to be a Black man in America, because you guys are a population that is overlooked, misunderstood, not given the time of day. Like, and I wanted to create a platform very specifically for you guys. So, you know, we're inching towards the end, and you know, like I said, these guys will be back. You know, now that Darren and Uzziah and the ones who were hesitant to be on didn't want to, cough cough, we can create the platform for them to come back. So Darnell is here. He is driving, but that's why his camera's kind of black. But if he wanted to share, I'll definitely have a question where he can give and share his insight. But one of the last questions I wanted to ask, it's very insightful and it's very deep, and I wanted to make sure that I captured it. And I'm going to read the whole thing. So, guys, pay attention. Many stories were shared, and I commend all of the young men for the courage and their transparency. My question for the young men are: have they found peace with every negative experience, every person who may have hurt or disappoint them, and can they exhale with a smile? So again, have you found peace with every negative experience, every person who may have hurt or disappoint you, and can you exhale with a smile?
All right, I'm gonna go because I've been preaching about transparency this whole time. My answer to that, the first question, is no, I have not. But I can still exhale with a smile because I know it'll be okay.
Well, praise the Lord.
That's really what I said it on the little thing you want us to send in. You control the controllable. And that's all it is. It's like the situation that whoever hurt me or whatever bothered me, that was out of my control. But the only thing I can control is my healing, my mental peace, my mental fortitude. That's the only thing I can control. So if I sit here and continue, if I admit that I'm still bothered by it, that's fine. Now it's a problem if I said I'm not bothered by it when I truly am. Yes, I'm still bothered, and I could admit that I'm still bothered.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to let that control me and my emotions, control how I feel, control how I'm going to go about my everyday life, because at the end of the day, that season that I was once in is no longer my season. That person that once hurt me is no longer there to hurt me. So now all I have to do is continue to live my life. And what is for me is for me.
Amen.
And I'm going to let the Lord, the God that I serve, deal with every problem that I had. Any person that's ever did me wrong, I'm going to let him deal with them, because at the end of the day, I'm good. I still got breath in my body. I'm still healthy. I'm able to wake up. I woke up today. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I'm still going to exhale with a smile on my face, because at the end of the day, what they did to me didn't kill me.
Preacher. Who will be next?
I'll go.
Corden. Okay.
So I would say I would echo with Uzziah, no, but I feel like I'm working on attacking those big things for me, right? For me, it's like relationship with my mother and how that affects so much of my life. So sitting down, talking with my mother, having these conversations and working through things is something that helps, right? And it's daily, the daily care, the self-care that I got to do. I get better and better. Healing means that I have less of a stimulus to those things. I'm not as triggered to those things. It becomes more of a fact than it does an emotion. And I can think about it logically. But I think I'll always be working on those things. I think being able to take accountability, once I have that self-awareness, taking accountability for how that impacts everything in my life,
Mm.
and talking to people like these great brothers here and Jermaine and reading books and podcasts, like there's a level of self-awareness that comes with that.
Mm.
There's a level of mercy and grace that needs to be added on that as well.
Yeah. Darren, did I see you trying to reach for the unmute button?
Yeah. Next time we're gonna have a buzzer. Those were some very great answers. I think like when it comes to like healing or giving forgiveness, especially to people that have hurt you, it varies. Like I can answer to some things, like have I forgiven people for things that they've done to me or have hurt me? Yes, to some of them. No to some others. And then more importantly, like have I forgiven myself for things that I've done that have set me back, the failures that I've had, or allowing someone to be in a position to hurt me in the first place. I feel like all of this has a certain amount of work tied to it. Like I would like to forgive any and everyone, myself, move on and just be like, I'm happy, everything is good. I don't have stress associated with those things anymore. For some things is I can be honest and say it's kind of hard to just say I forgive. And that's like I can say that's part of my current battle. Like I would say mostly yes, there's still some things I feel like I'm working on to give forgiveness to, people that I may not have fully forgiven for things that have happened, even though this is past. Like they're not currently here, they're not currently affecting me. They're like their words or their emotions aren't currently in my ear and heart. But it's still you still think about these things, and it's hard to let some things go sometimes.
Mm.
And I think that's why when you work with, your therapist, you work with, like your church, you pray to God on some of these things. I would love that it would be instant, but we all know it's not like I've given it to God, it's all done and over at that point. No, it's he takes some time to work. And it's not gonna be when you want it to be finished. You're not gonna be able to wake up and say instant forgiveness. Although we wish. Some things do take time, and in that time while it's working, you still got to work through it. You still got to deal with it. You still got to wake up. Sometimes you're still gonna be mad. Sometimes you're still gonna be disappointed if somebody let you down because you entrusted them with something. It just takes some time to move on from some things and heal properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's powerful stuff. I think we misunderstand that forgiveness means you have to forget. And I think saying you have to forget is why we circle back to certain patterns and cycles, is because we don't realize that when we forget, we find similar situations. We're like copy and pasting, right? Don't forget when you're forgiving, but what you're doing is you're releasing yourself of that like bondage to the event or to the person.
Yeah.
Forgiveness allows us to be free. Forgiveness allows us, like Uzziah said, to move on and give it to God and say, like, God, listen, you know what this person did. You know how I feel about the situation, but I have to keep moving forward because they're living their best life over there. And at some point, I owe it to myself and I deserve to live better and to be better. Right. There was a question in the audience, and I kind of wanted to hit the audience like this is a show. Anyway, there was one. I mean, listen, manifesting, right? We will get there. What would be some tips you guys could give the younger Black men, whether it's healing, investing, relationships, or goals?
Oh, I saw that question.
Chris waved, so we're gonna give it to Chris, and then we'll circle around.
I'll answer both questions. I'll answer the first question briefly. I hope in 60 years, right, when we're all old men, we can look back and say we are finally at peace. However, I know, just like everyone else, I'm at war right now. And I'm at war for a better lifestyle. I'm at war for a better way of living. I'm at war for my family and my last name every single day, right? So I definitely understood the gist of what everyone was saying, but I think now in all of our young ages, we're fighting for our goals and our dreams and our better ways of living. For this young man who asked the questions on what would be some tips
Mm-hmm.
about healing, investing, relationships, and goals, I'm telling you right now, look in the mirror and all those things you just named, do for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heal yourself, invest in yourself. The relationship you have with yourself, whether it be you believe in a higher power or not, make that the strongest relationship that you have. Whatever goals you have, right, our bare necessities that we need that we often neglect for ourselves, our food, shelter, water, so that way we are able to address the things that happen. And I've come to realize, that when we don't meet those things, the relationships around us, like all of you have mentioned, are reflective of who we are or what is hurting in ourselves and what we've yet to heal. When we don't take the time to invest in ourselves or heal ourselves, we live in regret or we live in comparison, right? I'm 26. I don't have no home. I don't have a car, but my friend who's 26 or his brother has all those things, and I'm looking at them comparing myself when in reality I'm on my own journey. So I definitely think that recognizing that you're on your own journey and in your own path. And again, right, the difference between your goal and your dreams is a plan. If you have a plan in the middle, then that's how you make those things come to fruition. And I can say that with certainty because I'm a very goal oriented person. And every time I've come up with the goal, a plan follows it, and then it's I graduated college even though I dropped out and took a year off, or damn, now I have a car even though I crashed my one that I had before, even though I had to wait 9 months later. Damn, I have a job now. I had 13 jobs before, all of which I quit and weren't doing anything for me, but now I have the stability and all those things now. And I'm not saying these things to, brag, but those are real examples of things that I've gone through. And your time and your path is your own. And before you can do for others, self-preservation is key. You have to do for yourself. It's not selfish. It's not selfish at all. It's definitely, again, you can't give from an empty cup. And that's all it is.
There you go. Darnell, do you have something to share, friend? Because you are now here.
Yeah, I'm here finally. Long day, man. Long day. I was actually just in the middle of, a business meeting again. I had one yesterday. I did another one today. Kind of just trying to secure a few things. Kind of just like what Chris said, coming up with plans and stuff. We're in the middle of expanding the business plan. Researching banks and things. What is it that we want to go to? Having goals and things like that. It's kind of funny that he had brought that up as, that's exactly what I'm doing. Or in the middle of, and I'm trying to do so many things kind of at one time, you know what I mean? But I wanted to make sure that I got in here. I kind of missed the whole thing, but I'm sorry for that. But I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot what the question was because it went away. I seen the thing, but it went away.
Sorry. What advice do you have for younger Black men on healing, investing, relationships, goals, etc.?
Put your pride to the side, man. Put your pride to the side. I know, lately, I feel like people have been saying that, my ego is getting in the way of things and I'm being real prideful, but I'm not a prideful person. But I know us as Black men, it's kind of like we're almost forced to kind of have some sense of pride. And I feel like that gets in the way of a lot of things that we're trying to do. Like, don't be too scared to, like, it's hard because you have to have some type of courage, man. You want to walk into a bank and get some money to build your business, You can't be like, they're not going to give it to me because I'm black. You know what I mean? Let that shit go. You know, you don't want to do something because you feel like it is a prideful thing. But put it to the side, and you'd be surprised at how far you can go. You know, I had to swallow it a lot. Like, there's a lot of things I did not want to do that my pride was like, you can't do that. Don't do that. If you do that, you know, and it's like, man, you've been holding me back for a long time. And I'm tired of allowing that to hold me back. And you know, but it's, you know, learn as much as you can. There's so much information out there. You know, the internet has a lot of misinformation, but as long as you follow what the information is that you need, you'll find the truth. You know, and then you look at platforms like these, you search them out. You know, I'm around. I mean, I'm busy as hell, but you know, I deal with youth every single day. You know, long-term treatment. You know, six months to 5 years. So I deal with that all the time. You know, and I could tell. You know, yeah, you just want to do this to make yourself look cool. You know, you're kind of you're really like a product of your environment, but you can change that. You know, because a lot of these, a lot of these cities are the same. You know, a lot of the poverty is the same. And it's, you know, me being from Brockton, telling somebody from Boston, you know, how it is, you know, you can get out of certain things. It ain't going to be that much different.
Yeah.
You know? But there is a lot. There's so much I could say, and I'm kind of just trying to rush it a little bit because I know you guys have been on here for a while.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sorry.
Listen, the fact that you're here, you shared some great stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, man, I gotta get on it because I told everybody, I'm like, I'm supposed to be on a Zoom right now, and you know, this was supposed to be quick because, like I said, yesterday it was like 3 hours, and today it's just, you know, it's kind of like another 2 hours, and I'm like, I gotta go. But you know, but yeah, I think for me, my biggest thing outside of all the other stuff is like just leave your pride at the door, man, because it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
Yeah. Amen to that. I didn't realize that. That's my nephew. That's like commenting. Anyways, Darren, yes. Hi.
Yes.
Is there something you wanted to add?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna be very brief, very quick. Because to that young man, he said something in the beginning of that I felt was very important. He was saying, as a male raised by females, largely by females, you know what I feel like you should start, brother. You need a mentor. You know, find you a male mentor that you resonate with. Not because you're not going to get great advice from a woman or anything like that, but you know, like growing up being a male around a bunch of different women. I think it was like how Courtney said before, growing up in different environments, you lose a little bit of your own identity. And sometimes you do need a reminder of that, you know, and then start building a tribe, you know, people that are going to keep you accountable, people that are going to keep pushing you, people that are going to keep supporting you while you do what you need to do, because you're already in a unique position. You are a young man growing up, surrounded by a lot of women that are going to need assistance, that are going to give you wisdom, that are going to give you guidance. And you're going to be in a position to do something with that. You know, so find you someone that can help you understand what position that you're in right now, like where you are on that chessboard. Find you somebody that's going to help guide you in the right way to your path, and then help get you a tribe that's going to help keep you accountable to those goals, you know, so that you can put a plan in between, you know, those dreams that you had and bring them back down. Like, I can definitely understand what it's like, you know, like to grow up as a child surrounded by women. There's a lot of opportunity to learn there, but then, you know, like learning how to, you know, learn some of those masculine qualities, like being more assertive about what it is that you're looking to do, you know, being more in control of the decisions that you want to make. For example, you know, like some things you do need to learn from a different perspective. And that's where your mentor would come in, you know, like, you know, father figures find you in various different points in your life. If you have father figures, those can be the start of your mentorships. For example, lean on them, ask them questions,
Mm-hmm.
question their methods, even, because this is how you would learn a lot of those different perspectives.
Yeah.
Women are only one half of raising a child. So, you're going to be leaning a little bit when you get it all from just one side. Find you some men that have values and principles and faith and lean into them.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you guys. This was great. But speaking of my family, I did tell everyone I had a surprise for you guys. I don't know how well this is going to look. We're going to try to share my screen apparently. But there is a Black Man Hill series part 2 coming out. I'm clapping for myself.
Yeah.
So I heard you guys have asked for it, and your wish is my command. So these are just the 4 that have stepped up and said they are willing to come on for Black Man Hill series part 2, coming back to you in March. So David, I call him Uncle David. He's not really my uncle, but I call him Uncle David. He will be our first guest on the Black Man Hill series part 2. And then Uzziah's best friend, who is also in the NFL, that's why you see him wearing a Washington Commanders jersey, Aaron will be there. And then my cute, look at him. He's 19. I don't know who allowed my nephew to be 19 with the whole mustache and sideburns, but I digress. My nephew will be here, Darnell Jr., aka DJ. He will be there. And then Walter, I call him JJ because when we worked at the place that we met each other, he was there. So JJ, DJ, Aaron, and Uncle David, they will be here for you guys, coming soon in March. And again, if you guys want these lovely men to come back, they will be back, because as they said, even though there may have been some resistance, they are now here for it all. So thank you guys for coming on. I will give you guys the space to say one more thing that you guys want to say. On top of the Black Man Hill series part 2, women, I did create the platform for us as well. My good friend Tracy, which is Uzziah's aunt. Uzziah, all your people are coming in. Her name is Tracy. A lot of people know her as Kersha, so I'm nowhere as Tracy either way. She will be my co-host in the females. So women, we are coming. It is starting next Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So not Tuesdays, but Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. So guys, listen, I just love y'all. For real. You guys, all you guys. I wanted to give this space for you guys to say one final comment, whatever it is that you want to say. Encourage the people, your final words. Let's get it under 30 seconds or less, because, time has escaped us, but we knew that was going to happen. So we're going to go from, I guess, the youngest to oldest. So Uzziah, Chris, and then Darnell and Corden. Darren had to tiptoe out, but if he does come back on, we'll give him the last one. So Uzziah.
Last thing I'll leave with everybody is just control the controllable. That's really it. Don't worry about what anyone else says, what anyone else does. Control the controllable. And that's it. That's what I live by. That's what I go by. Control the controllable and control your own destiny. Worry about what only you can control.
Amen to that. Christopher.
Outside of just saying thank you, everyone, just for sharing their stories, I do want to say to those who are watching, I hope this moment solidifies for you that you are not alone. And that there are brothers and sisters and family and friends who may share your similar experience. And just keep going, because the only way out is through. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
Darnell.
My last, I think, didn't really get to say much, but what I will say is, don't be scared to be successful. And success isn't always, it's not always calculated by how much money you make. I believe success is the impact that you make in your community and, with the people that are in your life. So never be scared to be successful.
Okay. Mr. James.
Ooh, love that, brother. I once learned that success is a worthy pursuit of a goal. And I absolutely agree with that, brother. I think that my message, like I said earlier, nothing can be faced until it is changed. This is the face of Black men looking to heal, looking to talk about our experience. I want you to see it. I wanted to change the narrative that you see out there. Yeah. That we're not facing it, that we are who we are. But this is who we really are. And I just hope that everybody sees that and sees the love that we have here. Jamae, thank you.
Of course. Listen, you guys, I am so grateful. Everyone who is still watching and can go in the chat, can we all give these lovely men a round of applause? I am going to do it audibly and in the face because you guys are amazing. When I say I was nervous half the time I was doing these lives, but I was telling Corden earlier, it's only because I wanted it to be a platform where these men were seen and they were heard and their stories were given, because honestly, the conversations that I have with them, I'm like, the world needs to hear this, because there are a lot of people who are going through very similar things and we all needed it. So thank you guys for being transparent. Thank you guys for being here. You guys have made me proud. My youngings, Chris and Uzziah, y'all made me proud, my babies. And then, my twin, aka Darnell, and Corden, who's the newest friend that I have put a part of my little circle. Thank you guys for being here. We know Darren, he had to step out. He warned us, but he had to step out. That is my best friend. And then, of course, Traquan, who kind of started me on this whole podcast thing. So, gentlemen, if you wish to be a part of the Black Man Hill series part 2, let me know. Until then, you guys, I hope you guys have an amazing night. I hope that you guys share this, rewatch this, keep spreading the knowledge and mental health awareness and the Black man experience. Gentlemen, again, I cannot say thank you enough. If I had it, I would have gave y'all a love offering, but you know what? The Lord's going to pay you back somehow in some capacity. If it's not in money, it is going to be with peace. It is going to be with joy, community, whatever it is. You guys will see them hopefully sometime soon. Until then, you guys have a blessed night. Thank you guys for coming. And as everyone's putting up their peace signs, peace out.